Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to round 7 U.S. Championships 2025, U.S. Open Championship, U.S. Women's Championship. We got a barn burner on our hands here. Hans against Fabi, the two leaders of the event, facing off in this crucial round 7. And we'll talk about this opening because love the opening Fabi played today. Hello, Sweet Blues. Hello, Fisher Seb. My pleasure. My pleasure to come on, watch the games, hang out with y'all for a bit. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. What's up, everyone? So, okay, one game already finished. Robson Aronian ended in a draw. So, technically, Levon is currently tied for first, but one of these guys will pass him for sure, maybe both. So Levon probably half a point behind after today's round, maybe full point. We'll see. So yeah, let's look at this one, guys. So yesterday, I offhandedly said it's going to be Italian game, which I think was the most likely opening, but we called it. We predicted this one yesterday. And here Fabi goes D6, which is basically like the fourth most common move here. Most common being bishop c5, at least most likely. Knight f6 being second most likely. Bishop e7 being third most likely. This is also playable. d6 fourth most likely. I mean, maybe I would even think h6 is more likely than d6, even though they're kind of similar. Sometimes they're both played together. So d6, Fabi plays a very interesting move here. According to the clock, he spent 9.5 minutes, which is not correct. I feel like I saw him play this pretty... I was actually in the tournament hall today. I visited the club for the first time, the new club, and I caught the beginning of the round. They gave me a media pass. They were very nice. And yeah, Fabi played d6 quickly, so he didn't spend 9.5 minutes. It was Hans that started thinking here. So he goes c3, and now f5. So this is Fabi's... not his innovation necessarily, but this is his idea for today, to play this kind of very early f5. And guys, you know who is a big fan of this structure? Does anyone in chat know which top player of their time was a big fan of going d6, e5, and f5 early on in the opening? As black, in the first couple moves, would often go d6, e5, f5. Anyone? Any guesses? Anyone know who favored this? Waiting, giving chat a moment. Feingold? No, good guess. Edward Dutch? Nope. Philidor, guys. Francois Philidor. The way he originally played his own opening was actually like this. He would start with an early d6, e5, and then he would quickly play f5, sometimes on move 3. So he didn't play like the classic like knight f6, knight d7. Maybe he had some games, but no, his first love was like d6, f5, and it was very dubious in a lot of positions. But a lot of positions would work because his opponent would allow him to kind of get this kind of close grip on the center, the sieve kind of thing, and then he would have this free hand to attack on the king side, bishop g4, and so on. So he won some games like that. So Fabi, taking a page out of Philidor's book from the 18th century. So d3, and then queen f6, castles. Castles is very surprising for me, because Hans, I think he understood. He's basically like walking into the attack here with f4. So I really loved Fabi's opening here from the get-go. I thought he's doing great because he just gets this like very nice close center. G5, G4 super attack is coming. It's basically like a King's Indian, except white hasn't gotten space yet with D4, D5, C4. So white is very behind to get counterplay on the queen side. So B4 played, apparently 33-minute think here. And then Fabi spent 20 minutes on knight g7. So this game, I mean, real slugfest. These guys are spending their time. A4, G5. I mean, if I was white here, I'd be soiling myself, to to be honest with you guys. Because it looks so scary. It just looks like you're gonna get slaughtered. The center is closed and the pawns are coming. H5, knight A3, and Hans, knight A3. You know, he's playing on the opposite side of the board. Knight C6, and now B6. So super cool move from Hans. This is where we kind of tuned in. Sacrificing the pawn for the B5 square. So I am curious, on AB, probably he wanted knight B5. He only spent 2 minutes on B6, 7 minutes on knight A3. So knight A3, B6, and he was already kind of anticipating this. I think this is his idea, is that now he threatens to take and take. So it's not that easy for black to defend the pawn. Like, he can move the king, but that's not, you don't want to move the king to D8 or to the D file. And if C6, then of course you're dropping the D pawn. So Fabi didn't want to have to deal with this threat, it would seem, and instead goes C6 pretty quickly. Now bishop A2 on the board, and knight G5. So yeah, I mean, absolute wild game, guys. Wild game. You know, we're not using computers here. So I have no idea what the evaluation is. Which I think is like much more interesting for a position like this, because we can get a lot closer to what the humans are thinking. And maybe I don't know exactly what Hans and Fabi are thinking, but I can tell you guys that if I was white, I'd be scared that I'm getting attacked. And if I was black, I'd be scared that my attack is not going to succeed. Now, does Hans have to win this game to become US champion? I mean, no. No, so Hans and Fabi are tied now. If they draw this game, then they'll be tied going into the last 4 rounds. And so Hans will actually have every chance to win, because he had a difficult start with 3 out of 4 blacks, which means that he must have more whites like in the final rounds. And despite his kind of like difficult start, Hans is leading. So I actually think Hans is having a better tournament than Fabi right now, because Fabi has 4 out of 6, but with 4 whites. Right, this is his 7th game. Hans also has 4 out of 6, but with 4 blacks. So Hans gets 3 whites in the last 4 games, and Fabi only gets 2. But of course, one of these is his white, right? So if they draw this game, then it's very, very close, and they basically both get 2 whites in the last 4 games. But Hans has already played all the top guys, other than Fabi, right? Like Fabi is playing right now. So in his last 4 games, Hans gets to play Andy Woodward, Owunder Liang, Sam Sevian, and Darius Swiartz in the final round. Fabi in the last 4 rounds has to play Ray Robson, Sam Shankland, Abhimanyu Mishra, and Levon Aronian in the final round. So of course, all these players are good. Not a single one of the names I mentioned is a weak player, but it seems like Hans has a slightly softer pairings to finish. And he's playing a couple of like the outsiders like Owunder Liang, Sam Sevian, Darius Swiartz. So in the final rounds, it's like this is the round that you want to play these guys when maybe they don't have as much to play for anymore. You might be playing for US Championship, so you have all the chances in the world. So I feel like it very much could come down to Hans versus Fabi in the kind of in the final sprint. And notice how sharp Fabi's opening is today. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. Like, Fabi actually has been playing really interesting openings this whole tournament. He's been coming up with like fresh ideas, and this is one of them. So I don't know if this is specifically like, oh, he's 100% having to play for a win here against Hans because he thinks Hans maybe has better chances in the last 4 rounds, so he's trying to beat Hans. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think Fabi more likely just thought this is a good choice against the Italian game. It's interesting, it's fresh, and maybe he can win, which is also good. And yeah, I mean, just look at the position. I feel like, look at the position. It's crazy. Knight G5, Knight D3. So he's leaving the e-pawn loose, presumably because he thinks opening the center is good for white here, right? I think he'd be correct on that. I'm not sure exactly what he would want. Maybe Queen E1 is one idea, hitting the knight, defending the pawn. If D5, you would get DE. And otherwise, if the knight moves away, DE5 is coming. No clue what's happening here, but clearly both players like kind of are on the same page here. Hans is like, yeah, go ahead and take the pawn. I would love for you to do this and like open up the center. And Fabi's like, oh, thank you for the offer. No, thank you though. I'd rather keep the center closed. Try to keep my king safe. And yeah, he's just piling on. Just knight g6, just building up. Just it's one of those like slow moving attacks. Very, very typical in the King's Indian, where it's like you're just slowly building up, and the steam engine, as Jesse likes to call it, is rolling. It's just everything is just coming. It's coming, and it's very, very powerful. So in a move or two, White might just be getting checkmated if he doesn't create enough counterplay in time. So Hans played knight c4, 90 seconds on this move. Move 16, they have 39 minutes left, which is not a ton of time to make 24 moves in such a sharp position. So they've already started to pick up the pace a bit. These last couple of moves are pretty fast because they've already tanked early on. Hans tanked 34 minutes on b4, and then Fabi tanked 20 minutes on knight g7. I could have played knight g7. I don't know what he's thinking about. I'm sure he's thinking about plenty of things. I could have played knight g7 like a second, 3-minute game. I'm just kidding. But then another 16 minutes for Fabi on g4. So huge things early on here. And now, of course, they're on move 16, and position is not getting any easier. So Hans just played knight c4, bishop e6 on the board. Okay, both sides just ignoring that. Like Black doesn't want to take, White doesn't want to spend time taking. Like he doesn't need that. And here Fabi just developing. Now where is Black's king going? Maybe it slides over to g8 at some point. I'm not sure. Maybe it just stays on like f8. It's one of those things where like because Black has the center under control, he's kind of okay to just maintain the king here. White's move I would expect is bishop a3. Bishop a3 feels like the most direct move, principled move, developing, hitting d6. And I'm not sure what Fabi has in mind. I mean, position's so complicated. We haven't had a chance to analyze it at all, basically. But I feel like Fabi essentially wants to hop in, knight h4, maybe knight f3 check, and yeah, just play for mate. So bishop a3, maybe Black defends the d-pawn somehow, like bishop f7. I'm not sure. Maybe he just starts going for it with knight h4. Rook d8, I think unlikely because of ba7, and then eventually, this pawn is going to be a big problem. Could Black take on c4? Yeah, you definitely could take on c4, and then I'm not sure if he would even want to take here just for the tempo. He might just like want to instead play for the attack. F3. Maybe just use the tempo for the attack, which I think is more actually. I think this is the most likely so far. We just started analyzing, guys, but this I feel like is the most likely from Black's point of view. Takes f3. This feels correct to me, to just kind of make sure you don't drop on d6, play f3, keep everything protected, and now the attack is coming through. No, I mean, basically everyone in the tournament is strong, JW, so literally anyone in the tournament, I do believe, can beat anyone else on any given day. Like there's, purely 0 players that are I consider complete outsiders. Obviously, there's the guys that are like the lowest rated, but even the lowest rated guys are capable of winning games. Like Darius, actually, 2577, he's gone down from his peak rating. This is a guy who's like 2650, north of 2650, so he is very, very strong. He plays pretty risk averse, I would say, from what I've seen in the U.S. Championship. So he definitely makes a lot of draws, but he's definitely capable of winning a game if people provoke him, make a mistake. He's strong enough to punish anyone basically in the field. But last rounds always get very, very chaotic in these kinds of events. Hello, Troy Chess. Are we planning to cover World Cup? Yes. I think we looked at the schedule already. And I think the plan is for David and Jesse to start the coverage, which I think is going to be around 5 a.m. Eastern time, maybe 6 a.m. Eastern time. Or maybe Jesse will start and then David will join in. But I think it's actually at a normal time for Jesse. It starts like either 5 or 6 a.m. Eastern. And then I'll just be joining whenever. But I will warn you guys, they're only interested in covering the classical. They have no interest in covering the tie breaks. So I might hop on late and cover the tie breaks when those happen. Because tie breaks, of course, very, very important. Yeah, Fabi still has to play Mishra. Mishra, of course, who's only defeated by Hans. That's what they said. They said they're not interested in covering the tie breaks. I'm just relaying the message. So this game is so interesting that it's like it's hard to even glance at other games, but the eye does wander. Darius actually having a nice position here against. I wonder it would appear. Wesley So facing Andy Woodward, very big game. I don't know if they've ever played a classical game before. Do we dare, folks? Do we take a peek at Wesley So against Andy? Look, guys, it's the watch party, okay? So if everyone's watching one game, you know, someone tries to change the channel, you guys are allowed to yell at them. You know, like, hey, we're watching that. So you guys let me know what games you're interested in. I'm just a beacon for the dojo to watch U.S. Championship here. Okay, bishop e6, Hans thinking. I just want to see this Wesley So against Andy game. It was this Tarash line. Okay, this is a pretty theoretical line. Knight d4. Was he putting some pressure? Knight g3 and d4 from Andy. d4. Wesley takes on c5, takes d3. So pawn sacrifice from Andy here. Pawn sacrifice, because on knight g3, the issue was c5 is hanging. So black wants knight e4 and knight c5. And if you take on g3, I mean, maybe white takes on c5 first. Maybe white just recaptures and says you don't really have a great way of defending this pawn because rook c8, knight b6. Of queen d6, maybe you can just take anyway. You're hitting this. Let's say queen e7. Yeah, you can take like this too. So maybe just hg and arguing that black doesn't have a good move here. Like you could go c4 as black, but then positionally you're in deep trouble. Rook comes to d4 and you're not down a pawn yet, but you will be after white gets their full construction in. So I think this pawn sacrifice might have been out of desperation for Andy. I think he didn't know how else to deal with white's pressure. So I'm not sure. Somewhere maybe he went wrong in the opening. It's hard to say where. It's hard to say where. But he sacked the pawn and now he's trying to figure out if he can get enough for it. How's Carissa doing today? We can actually take a quick look. Women's section also very, very interesting. Let me go to recent. Let's go back. And let's open up Carissa's game. Yeah, Carissa playing Jennifer Yu today. So two former champions facing off against each other. And Carissa played Scotch opening, which I don't think is her main. Very sharp line. E6. E6, interesting move. If queen takes e6, I think the idea is c takes d5. Taking the knight. So pawn takes, bishop g2. So white sacrificed pawn here, goes knight c3, even allowing knight c3 bc, this structure, but saying her light squared bishop is so strong that if takes, she would take here with check and then recapture, and then black has to move the king, which is no good. So castles, knight a4, bishop d4, still pinned, this pawn still pinned. Okay, queen e4, and here Jennifer just played e5, sacrificing knight on d5. Wow, and Carissa took quickly too. So here, okay, but bishop d4, she spent 13 minutes, and with queen e4, black is already committed to sacrificing a piece. So Carissa spent 16 minutes on queen e4, anticipating e5, and she was ready to take, and now f5 on the board. Wow. Yeah, because black can't just take, then queen d5 whites up a piece. So f5 is Jennifer's idea. Rook on f1 is going to hang at some point, and she wants to maybe take on d5. So I guess queen c2 or queen f3 look like white's moves here. Let's imagine queen c2. Maybe black just takes right away. Maybe takes the rook first. And we would get this chaotic position where white has two pieces for the rook, but some danger here. Like black's position feels like it could be extremely active. White's development is not so great. So very, very sharp game for Carissa here. Bodana just defeated former women's world champion. I saw Bodana defeated Maria Muzachuk from Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, huge win for Bodana. I mean, her, I think, biggest win ever I saw. I'm now very, very upset that David drafted Bodana in the junior draft, because I feel like, you know, she's gonna start gaining so many points. She's coming up fast. Yeah, it's gonna be very, very tough. Maybe queen f3. Yeah. This could be safer version for white. I agree. Oh, Fabi played f3. Oh boy. Yeah, Fabi going for the kill there. Amazing opening by Fabi today. Actually, this whole tournament, he's had very, very good openings. And yesterday, he should have won, right? He really should have beaten Wesley. It's like 1 out of 100. He doesn't win that game. Hello, Water. How's it going? Yes, Jennifer, you always playing very, very crazy games, very dynamic player. Which is why she won. She won 2 titles herself, just from being a very, very sharp player. When she's in form, she can really take her chances. So queen f3 play, bishop f1, king f1. Okay, we'll come back to this one. Let's go to Fabi. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys, look at this position. So bishop a3, bishop c4 played. As expected, this is what we call it, bishop c4 f3. See guys, we understand something, even if we don't have computer running. What are the chances? g3. Okay, now black to play. The other thing I understand is that Fabi is trying to checkmate. So at some point he's going to go h4. But it's not so easy. Not so easy to fully envision the checkmate, because h4, Hans will play rook a2 at some moment. And on hg, fg, white is always going to be able to defend the second rank. So I don't think this is just immediate checkmate, but it does look extremely scary for white. And h4 played. So now I would expect rook a2 here, most times out of 10. But maybe there's other moves as well. Maybe there's a thought to be played on de. This is what makes Fabi's setup so brilliant, guys, is like he's just holding on to the e5 square. So when white takes, maybe he can take back with the knight. He can maybe take with the pawn just to hold the center together. Bishop f8 doesn't really matter. Rook takes, king goes to g7. His rook can come to d8. And by keeping the center under control, this is what allows black to attack on the flank so annoyingly. Maybe at some point you go with knight f4 even. So Fabi's position looking incredibly promising. Very, very practical. Sushan, okay, question. Yes, forgive me. Of course, we're following U.S. Championships, so we don't have time for lots of questions. But what was the question? Which opening should ambitious FIDE 2000 add to their repertoire to play very strategically and win in a technical way in the endgame? Okay, so to play very strategically, I think with white, you go d4 or c4. And with black, you go Caro-Kann and either Slav defense or Queen's Gambit declined. Yeah, those are the most classic technical openings. Okay, Queen c2. Queen c2 played by Hans. So he goes for second rank d, but I was expecting rook a2. It's not very often you get to play a cool move like rook a2, take the chance while you can. But okay, Hans has other plans for this rook, I'm sure. Maybe he wants the rook to b1, get some counterplay. That makes sense. So now how's Fabi going to checkmate here, guys? Because it's not like it's just bada bing, bada boom. It's not just bada bing, bada boom. Maybe at some point he's just going to play a5. It's like, forget about your b pawn. This would allow him to maybe castle queensa and get the rook in, but oops. It's hard to find moves. Okay, bishop e7 is a very normal move here for black. Just connecting rooks one way or the other. And then you could think about improving the king too with king f8, king g7. And then eventually like rook h6, rook h8. So that's kind of how I would be thinking about it. Ignoring this a pawn and just going for the h-file attack. So yeah, I don't know if black really has time for a6 or a5 because it's a full tempo we're spending, right? You know, we need to get the H file play going. Hello, Sam. How's it going? So, yeah, move 20, guys. 20 more moves in this game before they make time control. So, yeah, a5 is possible. I wouldn't be shocked, or a6. I wouldn't be shocked to see Fabi play one of these moves. Maybe a5, just so that there's no bishop a6 sacrifices looming. But I also think black can wait. Like, you can go bishop e7, rook b1, and then play a5 if you wanted to do that. So I think we can win on this one. But I feel like he's gonna play pretty quickly. Yeah, there's no like immediate breakthrough with knight h3 check. None that I can see, at least. So black has to just kind of keep building up. But at some point, he might throw a knight f4. Like if you guys remember that game we were watching, round 3, the Nazi Paikidze against Tadev, where she had that very nice knight f5 sacrifice. So this kind of similar thing here. It's like you just throw this knight in, and then if takes, like those pawns are very scary. Knight takes e4 is super risky just because it opens the e file. And I don't see a ton of potential on f2 just because it's covered so many times. So I'd be very surprised if we saw knight e4. Which is my way of saying I'm too lazy to calculate. Is it just like, okay, probably this is good enough already. And just trying to take here. If takes, and you're pinned. If takes, then see this, something like this I think would be very nice for white because position is opening up, king is caught. White's king is not getting mated. So yeah, I feel like this would be in white's favor. Yeah, so takes and d5. Yeah, I have no idea. But it doesn't feel like this is what black would want, but I'm not sure. Oh, I'm sorry, 97. So hold on. 97. So takes with the rook maybe. And then yeah, it's hard to evaluate this. Hard for Fabi too, because he's thinking a little bit. He's spending his time. Why didn't Hans break in the center? I mean, he kind of did. Here, okay, f5, he had to defend the e-pawn. And the thing is, okay, white could go d4 here, but basically, as we see in the game, he's not really threatening anything so serious because black is keeping the center protected. So he could go d4, but I think it would be pretty similar to what happened in the game in the sense that, like, okay, he first pushed b4, b5, but he goes d4 anyway, and anyways, black is still able to kind of maintain e5 square. So what surprised me was that Hans castled so quickly because this is like just classic like f4, and this is very scary if you don't know exactly what's going on here. So I'm surprised that he allowed this in the first place. Yeah, how did the pawn get to b6? It was here, pawn sacrifice for the b5 square. Fabi ignored it, I think, correctly. And yeah, this is how we have gotten this crazy position. So h4, queen c2. A takes b6 played. Okay, just takes the pawn. He just eats it. Gobble, gobble. Well, now I think we're going to see this rook open up on b1. But on rook b1, maybe b5 is the idea from Fabiano. Utilizing the pin. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have as much experience here, but yeah, for me, this is very impractical, but maybe he had no choice. Maybe he's castling kingside here, no matter what. But of course, credit for the fighting game has to go to Mr. Fabi here with the d6 and f5. I mean, this is wild. This is wild to play this against the Italian game. Oh yeah, Neil makes a good point. Black could have taken and played here with knight h3 or knight f3. Like if this one, then you just get mated. Good game. Thank you for playing. And then if this one, you would win. So he was probably considering this and I guess decided against it. Maybe white having too much counterplay for the exchange. So instead just AB after 8 minutes. Oh boy. Fabi has a good record against Hans, doesn't he? The last couple of years, I feel like. But maybe I'm mostly thinking about games he won as white. But I feel like Fabi has a good score against Hans. Oof. Oh man. Four wins, one draw. Yeah, it makes sense. What do I think about Eval Bard saying here? I don't know, like maybe black is slightly better. I feel like black has better chances, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what computer is going to think. That's my guess, and black is slightly better. Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong, though, please, of course. Of course. Maybe black is much better. I'm just guessing because engines, they always like find like crazy defenses, and they seem to have ways of holding it together. From a practical point of view, I definitely think that black is having great chances. Like if you had to ask me whose position I'd rather have, Yeah, it's going to be black all the way. Every time. Yeah, on HG, white is pretty much always going FG. Otherwise, you get mated. I think like most simplest, like you could probably bring the queen over and give checkmate, but usually this is kind of the pattern to look for. Although here I think like white is so mated, right? You could do this because white is just so incredibly mated in a position like this. Take with anything. So yeah, looking good for Fabi. 20 more moves to make for the time control. So Han's under big pressure. But Han's having a great tournament. Like, he's in very good form. So his brain clearly working at full capacity. Fabi also doing well, but he did have that slip against Wesley yesterday. So he could have been doing even better. But it's hard to even suggest moves for white here. So from a practical point of view, it feels very difficult. Does this game end before time control? Dang. Maybe. Maybe. 50-50 on that one, I guess. What would I evaluate this for black? For black, I would evaluate this as very good. For white, I would evaluate this as very bad. Yeah, because kingside is tasty. But it's not that easy to break through. It's just difficult for white to play because at any moment, black might be crashing through with some kind of checkmate. But yeah, white has to figure out how to get some counterplay here. Maybe rook fb1, so there's no b5. Yeah, definitely possible suggestion. But then you're allowing f2 check. So Nilo had this very important point that black always has take in this idea of f2. Where if knight f2, it's knight f3. And this would be catastrophic for white. You can take with the knight as well, maybe that's better, but this I think is huge problems. Queen takes is knight h3 check. King g2, you're running into this one. And then king f1, probably rook h2, and then we're ready to take and here and here, and just too many threats. So yeah, rook fb1 I think not playable because of hg and f2. Fabi already could have won the exchange like this. Maybe at some point he will. He'll be able to convert it. Any drama on the other boards? There is, but I mean, it's hard to follow multiple games really closely. I mean, this one is just like, this one is so interesting. I can check for you guys though. Carissa versus Jennifer, that game is still very, very complicated. Basically 2 pieces against the rook there. And then in the other games in US Championship, let's see, Wesley So up a pawn against Andy Woodward. This, of course, is by far the most important game because this is the 2 leaders as well. Let's see, Shanklin Mishra, Shanklin pressing a little bit. Sevian Oparin. Sevian there has nice position, but very complicated still. So yeah, this is the game of the round, by far. By far. Very important game for chess, US chess, world chess. Total chess. All the federations. Let's call it what it is. Fabi versus Hans is the game. Oh, thank you, Sweet Blues. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, rook A, E1. So instead of rook F-B1, he goes rook A, E1. This also allows B5. This also allows B5. Maybe B5 Hans doesn't carry, just goes bishop B3. But then BA4, it's like a second pawn. Not understanding. Because then if you take, there's B5 and you lose figura, as the Russians would say. So, Figura meaning figure. Figure being another word for piece. So you lose a figure. So what does he want on B5? D. Oh yes, Fisher, actually I was thinking about this line. So B5 maybe takes, and then takes. And so if recapture Queen B2, Queen B7, unpleasant. White's queen gets in. Maybe this is Hans's idea. I'm not sure. But of course, Fabi doesn't have to take. The thing is, if that was Hans's idea, why not go rook B1 though, right? Because then on B5, like, you still have this, it's probably even stronger than with rook E1. And on rook B1, you're threatening rook B6. You're kind of provoking black into playing B5. Maybe we're hung up on this B5 thing. Maybe the position's not about B5 at all. So rook E1, long think for Hans. Now he's down to 17 minutes. Basically has minute and a half per move. D5, guys? D5 is kind of crazy, right? White just played rook A1. But D5 feels insane. It's like ED. Oh, and the line with Queen B2. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was wondering. I was like, okay, okay, I understand. So this one. Something like this. Possible. Yeah, very sharp. I mean, this also I wouldn't know what's going on here, because actually I would think white has a lot of initiative, because now like king is opening up and black feels underdeveloped. I don't know though. I don't know. I mean, HG, it's very difficult to say. Very sharp position. Okay, so Fisher is saying d5 here. All right, let's look at it. So, but d5 I just take and then take this one? Isn't this super scary? Maybe no big deal, but I would be terrified of this as black. I mean, Fabi, you know, he's a madman. If he thinks d5 is working, he'll play d5. He will play d5 if he thinks it's working. But I'm just like, I would be wowed by that move. I would be wowed if he played d5. Thank you, Oscar. It's not really the channel for that. We try to keep it a no engine zone. But thank you for the information that is readily available if we wanted it. No, I'm just kidding. No, thank you for the information. Please don't give engine stuff. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just more fun to follow without, for us at least. Okay. But yeah, not surprising that black is doing well here. I think we were all kind of thinking that. Question is, can we predict Fabi's moves? Because you guys might not know this, but Fabi doesn't have the evaluation. He doesn't know which moves are best. He doesn't have anything. They only have the board, guys, in front of them. They have no other kind of information about the game. That's what makes it so interesting. So they have to figure it out themselves. They're very good at that. On HG, I mean, I think FG is happening. I can't imagine white's going to allow HG, knight, H3, right? I think we saw this line earlier, yeah? Let's say here. There's probably many ways. We have this one, and mate. Oh, and there's no even 91 anymore. Yeah, true. I mean, I wouldn't say it's accurate to say Fabi was +6 yesterday. He was more than +6. But it's not a good way to evaluate positions. Because the real evaluation was like mate and 9 moves. It was forced mate and 9 moves. But it's not like he missed mate and 9. What he missed was just that he was winning in the line. So it's like, so the thing about engine evals is like the engine is giving you the eval about the end of the variation. It's not evaluating the position that we see in front of us. The engine eval is the evaluation that will happen if both sides play the best possible moves from here for the next 20 moves, right? That's what the engine eval says. So it's actually not very accurate to say, oh, someone lost the +3 position, or they won +3, or they drew +3. Unless that was the evaluation on every single move they could play, then yes, the evaluation is +3. But if the eval is only +10 or +20 or whatever, if you find a specific line and you don't find that line, well, it's not like you didn't win a +10 position. What happens was you missed a forced win, right? So there's a big difference between missing a forced win and not winning a position that's +10, +15. Hello, B. Hello. Yeah, no, Fabi's opening today is incredible. D6, F5. I mean, fascinating stuff. Fascinating. Oscar, I feel like you did not hear me when I feel like you don't understand what I was trying to tell you. Because yeah, I'll go back real quick for the opening while Oscar thinks about their actions. So it was an Italian game with d6, and Fabi did this kind of thing. Which is like very great. I mean, I often see this when I do speed runs and I'm playing at like, the 1100 level. People go queen f6 here. It's like pretty common move. On Lichess, there's like 400,000 games here. But it's cool to see it in the US Championship, this kind of thing. And this is how their game played out. So Fabi just goes for this massive kingside attack. Insanely interesting. Like, you rarely see these kinds of things happen at this level. So Parker, you have a good idea, queen g7 and queen h6. But remember, when you take fg, it's always defending h2. So... yeah, still black needs some kind of, I mean, maybe there's some like f2 check or knight h3, but you still need some kind of finish there. But I do agree, it looks incredibly scary for white. And maybe there is something like knight h3, some f2, trying to like move the knight with discovery, but it's not so easy. Does knight f4 work? Yeah, I mean, yeah, knight f4 is exactly the kind of move I would be considering in this position. Figuring out if it works is a matter of checking with Oscar in the chat, or doing like, I mean, I don't think a human could actually figure it out. I think it's just like you wouldn't be able to come to such a logical conclusion. But it'd be very complicated. Like knight f4. So like, yeah, if takes e5, right? This looks good for white. Maybe this one we can figure out. But on gf4, maybe there's like knight h3 check and g3, or maybe just g3 right away. So who knows? So this could be mating. This could be mating. But white could take with the knight. And then this, I feels like this is not what black wants. You don't want to allow this. Even though, I mean, this might be still good for, like, who knows? This is the kind of stuff they're analyzing now. Very, very sharp. Okay, rook d8 played. So Fabi, he's just trying to hold on. Actually, very interesting move. He's like implying this maneuver, rook d7, rook dh7. Ooh, very, very nice. If this rook slides over, then at some point black is ready to just take. Yesterday, Fabi won very impressive game against, no, not yesterday, 2 days ago, right? Against Darius. When he broke through with the two rooks on the g-file, he just gave them up for the queen, and you broke through with the queen. I was super impressed by that, because I remember watching the game, and I was thinking, like, I wasn't really seeing the vision there, the breakthrough. But this one I definitely vibe with. This one I F with. Rook d7, rook dh7. Maybe 5 is turning d5. d5 is still insane a little bit to me, but it makes more sense here for sure. For sure. Hello, Mimilangelo. Hello. No, Pooh Bear, no. Don't succumb to. No, it's fine. Actually, I mean, I check with engines all the time, guys. When I'm watching a game, I check with engines all the time when I have questions. What I don't do is go into a no engine community and start spoiling stuff for people. Somehow I've learned like, maybe don't, you know. Like sometimes maybe like David and Jesse are doing commentary, and then I happen to check. You know, I don't come in and then tell them the evaluation. You know, it's not very nice. Not very nicey. Yeah, so Fabi building up. That's the thing about these attacking positions. Like, if your opponent doesn't have direct counterplay, like direct threats against your king, then black is just building up, and then eventually it'll be so easy a caveman could break through. You know, right now maybe there's some like super specific stockfish breakthrough that only stockfish can find. But if you just bring all your pieces to the H file, then it'll be very straightforward to crash through. Oscar, I think you're really not understanding. This is a pure no engine zone. So no engine lines, no evals. This is for everyone, really. Some people are new. We really try to keep it engine free here, right? So no engine moves, no evals, no insinuations, no implications. Oh, there's only one move here. Oh, it's crazy what engine thinks. There's none of that. Just don't even like. Just don't. There's the official broadcast where engine analysis, you know, is loved. If you check out the St. Louis broadcast, you start giving evals there. Oh my God, you're a hero in that chat. You're a hero. Here, not so much. Here, it's like we're trying to like analyze the games ourselves. If you look at the engine, be quiet. Exactly. That's our culture here. It's our culture. Exactly. You don't, with 20 minutes, it's difficult to calculate. So if you can just improve your position, then your opponent might slowly collapse. That's kind of the idea here. And yeah, Han's down to 12 minutes. Move 21. So 19 more moves to go. Not so easy for Hans. DE5 is possible. I think black is going to recapture DE. Yeah, I mean, I think white's position is already kind of bad. Now he goes D5. Oh, man. Okay, D5 is like one of the last moves you would want to play because black can just block you up with C5 and then there's nothing stopping. But okay, C5, then you can't get the rook to D7. But D5, very risky move for Hans. Not the move you would really expect here. Not the move you would expect. Conan, thanks for subscribing. Welcome to the dojo. So first instinct for black would be C5. If it's a bullet game, I just play C5. But Fabi, of course, is going to think about it. Because if C5, then bishop B5 check. So rook D7 is possible here. But then Hans's idea makes more sense, right? Because he can still go DC and open up his light squared bishop. So D5 is only like a horrible move. Oh, I don't understand. I'm so confused, blah, blah, blah. Only if C5 is like an obvious response for black. But if black doesn't want to go C5, well, then D5 does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. But yeah, rook d7, definitely very possible move. Yeah, rook d7, dc, bc. I'm just playing for the h file. That makes a lot of sense. What is Hans' idea? I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure. We'll see how quickly he plays on rook d7, if that's in fact what Fabi plays. Fabi might do something else. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I don't know. Rook d7. Guys, everyone's asking, like, what's the response for... Guys, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not Hans. I'm not in his brain. But let's see how quickly he plays, because if he tanks here, because he spent some time on d5. He spent 5.5 minutes here on d5. After rook d8, I have a hard time believing he missed rook d7, because when Fabi played rook d8, if you guys were watching, I immediately said, oh, his idea is to go rook d7. So I feel like Hans probably understood his idea as well. So anyway, d5, rook d7. But now if he tanks here and uses up all his time, then maybe then we can start thinking like, oh, he missed rook d7. But guys, let's have some respect for the players. These guys are like pretty good. They're not like my level. Oh, Shanklin beat Mishra. Oh, wow. So Mishra lost one game and that's it. But that's good, actually. That's good for Mishra. Like, he had a lot of games he needed to lose during this streak. Now he can just, like, get the losses out of his system and then start up another 100 games without losing. Okay, Andy's still down a pawn against Wesley. Maybe some holding chances, but it will be a difficult defense for Andy. Okay, Hans thinking. Maybe he underestimated this rook d7. Maybe he overlooked it. It's hard to believe. No, I do not, Pooh Bear, because that would be rewarding bad behavior, and I don't like doing that. Okay, takes. What's going on? Queen b3, rook h7, takes. So takes here, queen b3. Maybe black takes this one first, then here. Rook f2 is knight h3. Looks horrible for white. I don't feel like white is... Well, maybe... Okay, let's just play this out, guys. How does black win here? Maybe just bishop e7. Run the king and then you're always breaking through. Yeah, this looks like a problem for white. Like, okay, let's say we gave check and we took here. Problem is, I think even in the end game, you're getting mated if you allow this. Rook f2, rook h1. So I'm just trying to figure out what Hans might go for here. Okay, we have move. He does take. Fabi doesn't even take back right away, right? I think he's flirting with rook dh7. Is bc4? I don't know, but I see that Fabi's thinking about it. So that's interesting. But it doesn't really, I don't really see the point. Here he takes. Yeah, is he going to really give white new queen? No, he just takes back. Maybe he was walking around. Fabi's a walker. He likes to stand up, let his opponent stew. Okay, takes back. Now what's Hans doing? Because if queen goes to the b file, like this looked pretty convincing for black. So Hans here in trouble. Okay, B suggests a5, b5 takes. And queen b3. Super hard to believe, right? Like, I just think black's position is... because black still has this like hg and f2 to win the exchange. Also, like we're already up a piece, now we can win the exchange. So just super difficult for me to believe that white can... Maybe it's a good try, but I would think that black is still kind of crushing. Fabi stood up after his first move yesterday. I saw that. But actually, that made a lot of sense. I was surprised. The commentators were so surprised. Okay, bishop c1. Hans trying to defend desperately, but... oh, I don't know. But yeah, it makes sense that Fabi got up after move 1, because yesterday he played white against Wesley So, and he played knight f3 on his first move. Normally Fabi is either e4 player or d4 player. In this tournament he played d4 a couple times. I think maybe he played e4, maybe not. But against Wesley he played knight f3, which probably Wesley wasn't expecting. So I think you play a move your opponent's not expecting, they might spend a minute on the opening, right? To decide if they want to go knight f3, knight f6, knight f3, d5, so totally fine. No, bishop c1 does not look good for Hans. Bishop c1 does not look good. But he has 8 minutes, so I mean it's hard to suggest moves for white. If you get feisty with the queen, you know, you're just getting mated here. So, no, I mean, he's just hoping that Fabi doesn't find the forced win. But to me, it looks like black's position is very good. It's very good. All right, Eduardo, let's let's chill. Let's see the kill. I mean, let's see the finish. You know, Fabi, he's not like just blitzing it out, right? Like it's so easy. But yeah, Fisher, I mean, I was very impressed with Fabi's opening, as I was saying, and I was quite surprised by Hans, you know, castling into it. It just seemed like he just kind of played into exactly what Fabi wanted. I mean, it's never easy against these guys. It's never easy, but I felt a bit naive today, Hans's opening, his debut. Felt a little bit naive. Like he just made all of his normal Italian game moves and all of a sudden he's getting checkmated on the king side. It is very surprising. Like, you know, sometimes that happens in like blitz and bullet games, but in classical you have time to avoid that situation before it comes up. Yes, Hans is big Italian game expert. This is known. This is known. Okay, guys, let's predict move from Fabi because everyone's saying, oh, it's so easy, it's so winning. I want everyone in chat to predict one move they think Fabi is going to play, okay? Everyone has to predict one move. Since you guys are saying, oh, it's such an easy win, time to resign, so easy, I could win US championship, I'm better than these guys. I see so many comments in the. If you don't see it, it's because if you're in the Twitch chat, it's in the YouTube chat, and if you're in the YouTube chat and you didn't see it, it's because it was actually those comments come from the Twitch chat. Okay, so Rook DH7, we have multiple votes for this. Knight H3. HG on the table. No one likes HG. Okay, so Rook DH7. Marie shamed the front. Must have been easy. That's funny. Knight F4 prediction. Yeah, 4. Now HG, FG, F2 has been there for several moves now. Black could have won the exchange like this, but decided not to, which shows how good Fabi's position is that, okay, maybe he could take the exchange at some point. He doesn't do it. Rook H6 suggestion. HG also suggested. Why play with the rook before HG? I actually don't know. To me, HG does look logical. Although I guess if you go HG and then rook here, you're always allowing white to put something on F2. That might not be very good though, because a knight H3 check, but that is kind of, that would be one reason to not take before going rook H7 is if you wanted to avoid some rook F2. Rook DH7 play. The Rook DH7s have it. Wow, good job, guys. Okay, now you're playing chess. Now you're playing chess. All right, Hans takes on G5. That seems to be was his idea. Queen takes G5. I'm predicting Queen G5. I'm first. Queen G5. Oh, wow. No one else in the chat got it. Wow, looks like I alone predicted that move. Okay, and now what is white going to do? What's white going to do? Because now, like, if allowed, I think black basically is ready to just take twice on H2, come in, queen D2 check, queen takes C3, start cleaning up material. So black is ready to take and go rook H2. Very similar to Fabi's win against Darius Swerts from 2 rounds ago when he did the exact same thing. He just doubled his rooks on G file, one white's queen and then one with his own queen. Okay, but Hans has a move, so he can go queen C1. Okay, queen B3 played. Queen B3. Going for last ditch counterplay. But black's king, I think, runs away, right? Like bishop E7 very quickly. I'm not sure if knight H3 is better. To me, this looks perfectly good enough for black. He even has ideas of taking and queen d2ing. Rook f2. On takes, though, Hans might not be taking back. He might just be burning all bridges like this. Why doesn't HG? No, I think HG looks good, guys. HG is the 100% most obvious move. Guys, Hans has a few minutes left on the clock, right? He doesn't want to just sit and get mated. He's just trying. He's trying something. He's trying something. HG definitely looks like the move. I mean, of course. Everyone's asking. I don't know why you guys are asking. Like of course HG. what else would be the move? Is HG? Of course HG, guys. What do you think? What was the point of all this? Rook d8, rook d7, rook dh7. Are we just tuning in, folks? Of course HG is what we want to do. Now, if white takes back, then I gotta think this is way too fast for black. Way too fast. So I feel like Hans's idea is to just take here. Because takes king h1, there's no checks. But yeah, I don't believe in it for white because bishop e7 seems like black can just run away. Check here, take, and then... Well, now, okay, actually, there's queen e6. 97. So this is the kind of thing Hans is looking for, right? He's like, but even this, I'm not sure. Well, actually, no, this looks good for white now. Now I think white is... Okay, but this kind of thing, it's like hard to figure out. If you take the queen, then you get mated, but you don't have to go here. I mean, I don't know. So this is the kind of thing Fabio has to be careful about, is not to allow this counterplay. Oh, maybe there is bishop f7 check. True. It's not so easy, guys. Notice Fabiano Caruana, the second, third best player in the world, is not just blitzing out his moves. He's calculating here. He's calculating. So HG is possible. On HG, we're thinking maybe white goes FG, maybe white just takes here first. So 8 minutes for Fabi. Okay, he takes. And Hans immediately takes here. So we'll see how Fabi... He just needs to find like one good move to kind of defend against white's counterplay. And then he's basically breaking through. Maybe this was good enough. Maybe after queen d6, black just needs to play something more precise. More precise. I do like bishop e7 here, but maybe there's something else. Maybe king e7, actually. Maybe king e7. Yeah, lady g6 there. Tweedledee at the end, I think, if I understood your line correctly. Queen h4. Oh, you guys are saying white has no threat. Queen h4. That would be checkmate. That would be the biggest checkmate threat I've ever... Like, white's king is so mated if black goes queen h4. This would be... But this makes sense. I mean, if you see that your opponent actually has no threats, then why not go queen h4? Wouldn't this be game over? Queen h4 on the board. Queen h4 on the board. I'm gonna, guys, I'm gonna go down to the club. I'm gonna tell them that I have some. If they need some more contestants, I got some. That's a here in our chat. This is over. Did he resign? Are you guys watching official broadcast? No. Okay. Didn't resign. Gives check. Okay, I predict King E7. King E7 prediction. Locking it in. What an epic game by Fabi, though. I mean, he's won like so many nice games in this tournament. Against Oparin. This one against Swiertz. Caruana, just fantastic form. Just absolute machine. Won the Grand Chess Tour final as well. I mean, how good can one player be? There's no way to mess this up. I have some games to show I have some games to show you. By me, by other players. King E7. I think this might be resigns. Yep, there it is. There it is. Yeah, King just runs. King just runs. That's it. Queen C7 check could follow. King F6. Queen D8 check. Bishop B7. And GG. Wow. Amazing game by Fabi. I mean, really just like the opening concept. I feel like he didn't actually make a ton of like ingenious moves. He wins in 28 moves. It really was just the opening that was just very conceptual. F5. By the way, I mentioned this earlier. You guys know who liked this setup with black? D6, F5. Philidor. This was how Francois Philidor originally liked to play his opening. And then Hans kind of castles into it. And yeah, basically gets under this onslaught. You know, these are the positions like, yeah, you often try to avoid as white. And yeah, fantastic attacking game. Definitely a model game, but really like it just kind of started from the opening, I feel. Just came from the opening. So that's why we always say, guys, you know, openings is the most important phase of the game. Openings are the most important. If you know your openings, you always win. Yeah, it's like an AlphaZero game, basically. Yeah, the way you just kind of like conceptually outplayed and built a mating attack with black in 28 moves. Yeah, I'm not sure where Hans went wrong. I mean, I'm not an expert here, but to me it just feels like this was already bad. This was already bad, allowing F4 like this. I just feel like this wasn't practical. I don't know what computer thinks, guys. I'll probably check later, right? Because I'm interested. But to me, this just felt like during the game, players also don't know. And so this to me felt impractical. I mean, white could go D4. It's just, I don't know how much it changes because black is still going to hang on to the, like, maybe he goes knight G7 and it's not like white just, it's so easy to get counterplay here. Black has kind of the same conception. So oh, without D4 without C3. Yeah, sorry guys. I never know what time you're suggesting the moves. Yeah, D4 here I think is the main move. Actually, it's curious why Hans didn't play
d4 because this feels like the obvious move. I guess he wasn't ready for the line, so he decides to go c3, but he allowed this f5. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, d4, I don't know how different it is because like in the game, white also got d4 in eventually. And he could have taken on e5 here, but it doesn't seem to have been to Hans's liking. I'm not sure why he didn't take on e5 here, but it's not so easy. Anyways, black would be coming out. Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I don't know. Engine will probably say better. But for me, this is very impractical unless you're absolutely sure. Even if Engine says castle is okay, it still feels impractical. Shanklin already won his game. And is the time accurate in Shanklin's board? Let's see. It looks like he did play very fast. He just just squeezed Mishra to death in this endgame. I mean, he used some time. Notice his time goes up here, right? Because the players did get an extra 30 minutes. But basically, he used 30 minutes on the game plus 45 moves plus 30 second increment. So, yeah, he used like 40, 50 minutes on the game. You played it very quickly. But most of the game, a lot of the game was his prep. And then it looks like a lot of the game was this opening where he didn't really need to spend a lot of time. Still, though, it's not every day Mishra loses. So, yeah, Shanklin really taught him a lesson on this one. Let's see. So Fabi won. Darius against the Wonder Liang. They got this crazy rook endgame. Wesley So against Andy. Wesley still up a pawn here. Andy down to 30 seconds, but only a few more moves to make before the time control. He'll make it. The question is, will he be able to defend against Wesley's extra pawn? Mishra tilted after his streak was broken. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I was there before the round. He seemed perfectly fine to me. I think, sometimes he happened to play Sam Shanklin today, guys. I don't know if you know Sam Shanklin. He's a former U.S. champion himself. Used to be over 2,700. Still a very, very decent player. He can beat you even on your best day. So hard to say exactly. I wouldn't want to speculate on Mishra, but okay, can imagine. No one is happy after losing their 70-game streak. But it's good he gets his losses in now, and then he can go another 70 games probably without losing. So Fabi now becomes big favorite to win U.S. Championship because now he's going to be full point ahead of everyone. Well, actually, no. Wesley might still catch him. Wesley very well might catch him. Wesley wins this game. Actually, they're tied for lead. And if Wesley draws, then he's only half point behind. But Fabi definitely in clear contention to win his... it's going to be 4 U.S. championships in a row, guys. Fabi's won last 3 U.S. championships. And now this could be 4 in a row, which no one has done since Fischer, I believe. So Fabi, well on his way to another title. Oh, Fabi learned about d6 last night. But what was the idea after d6, d4? Did Fabi say what the plan was there? Because that's normally the way white would fight for the advantage. So he must have had something special in mind there. Yeah, no Hikaru. Hikaru was there today, actually. He showed up to the round for the first time. Because he finished, I guess, playing in Canada, and then he flew down, probably to be with Tusa. And so he was there before the round, giving her some support, saying hi to some of the players. They're like, Hikaru, you could play. There's a spot for you. They're like, Darius, move. Hikaru's here. Yeah, they're asking Darius to give up his seat for Hikaru, but Hikaru's like, no, it's fine. I don't have to play. He's very polite about it. But they probably could have forced Darius. No, I'm just kidding. Why isn't Hikaru playing? Isn't he supposed to make X Games for candidates? Yes. Great question. I think just a little lazy, guys. I think he's just a little bit lazy. Or no, what's the official word? He's saving his prep. He's saving his prep for the candidates, guys, okay? That's the official word I've seen from a lot of Hikaru fans in like YouTube comments and stuff. He's saving his prep. He's saving his prep for the candidates, April 2026. Okay, guys? That's why he's not playing US Championship. He's saving his prep. Yes, Parker. His wife is, I think, 7 months pregnant, and in the U.S., she's playing the U.S. Women's Championship at Tucson. Which is very, very important because one of the reasons, Hikaru was defended for, let's say, not going to SummerCon, not going to World Cup, not going to Grand Swiss, not going to all these events is because, okay, well, his partner is pregnant. He wants to be near her. But then she's playing US Championship. He couldn't be closer unless he was also playing. He would be literally in the same room as her for like the whole 2 weeks. So it actually makes no sense that Hikaru's not playing US Championship. I thought maybe Atusa's also not playing. Neither of them were playing. Okay, no, she's playing. so if she can play being 7 months pregnant, then for sure he can play. Lanier, I don't know. I haven't heard why Lanier is not there, but I think Lanier has maybe skipped a couple of events. So I think Lanier has been taking a bit of a break, but I don't know why he isn't playing. Okay, guys, chances for Wesley here, I would say maybe 50-50 because he has the extra pawn, but Black is very active. So I would say this is not an easy position to convert, but I feel like maybe 50-50 he can win an F4 check. True, Hikaru won, 45,000 with the comment open. But I mean, yeah, I don't think, he really needs the money at this point, right? Like, I think he can get money any which way he wants to. It's more of a question of how does he want to spend his time, Does he want to be leaving a legacy, right? Where does Hikaru want to sit on the echelon, right, on the list of top U.S. players of all time? Because right now it's like, okay, Fischer, right, Morphy, Fabi's there. I think those are clear top three. And then Yeah, probably Hikaru's next, but like it would be nice to see him fight for more championships. Otherwise, Hans might overtake him. Others. So after COVID, he wasn't really interested in U.S. Championship anymore. I get it. It's a lot of work, not much upside. I mean, Hikaru actually, he's in a similar boat to Magnus, I would say. Like Magnus also doesn't want to fight for world championship title and all this stuff, even though we would like him, right? We would like him to keep playing at the top level for as long as possible. But yeah, Magnus also he just kind of grew tired of the whole thing, spending all this time preparing just to show up. Your opponents know 45 moves of Berlin theory. You have to match with them. I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's just a shame that he doesn't really care about U.S. champs anymore. Would be nice if he did. Carissa's game, by the way, against Jennifer. You guys still crazy? We saw that earlier. 2 pieces against the rook. Wild. Wild. Naka, he was up there. I don't remember where we put him on the list, but he was definitely up there. Of course, we did the episode a little bit ago, so it was like he wasn't this number 2 player for like years and years, like he is kind of right now. Does Aronian count as American? Well, depends who you ask. I think for that podcast we didn't count him because he was just such a recent transfer, and mostly because like all of his achievements came while he was playing for Armenia, so it felt a little strange to count him as like American player. We didn't even count Kamsky for that podcast, which I would say was rather controversial because the argument was that Kamsky was already a developed player when he transferred to the U.S. So a lot of his achievements were also when he played under the Russian flag. But okay, I mean, of course, since then, Kamsky has obviously become an American player. It's just, yeah, matter of definitions if you count him as the top U.S. players or not. And he plays for France now. Well, yeah, he was very upset after the podcast. He was like, well, if you guys aren't counting me, then I guess I'll move to France. But I don't know. I mean, that was just purely like, I think I would have countered him if it was up to me. But I think Jesse and David didn't want to, which is totally reasonable. I could see it both ways. But it's always sad not to count someone, right? Because then it's like, does he count for Russia either? Does he even have a home at that point? So it's not exactly the easiest thing to do. Is this endgame winning with best play? Really hard to say what computers would do against each other. I was saying that's kind of like 50-50 from human point of view, whether white can win or not. I actually feel like black's drawing chances are a little bit better than white's winning chances, but black has 30 seconds. He's going to be down on time, and Wesley, of course, very, very good technical player. So Wesley here, big chances. Oh wow, Sevian, Oparin game is crazy. Nice, Tweedledee, nice. I feel like that line, even that one, might not be so simple, but I'm not sure. Wesley, very technical. Yeah, he's very good in the end game. The Wesley impression. I feel like it's more fun when I'm doing commentary with someone else. It's just me, it's kind of hard. Rook c2. Okay, if rooks come off, very pertinent question. White is still up a pawn. Maybe black can defend with best play, but I wouldn't say equal because extra pawn for white. So let's see what else is happening. Now, did Wesley have a choice with the rook trade? I guess he didn't want to allow black's rook to activate. So if he doesn't go rook c2, then you're allowing either rook c3 check or rook c1, rook h1. So maybe he thought that he has no other choice but to allow the rook trade, even if maybe he would rather keep more pieces on the board. Because now bishop c6, clever move from Andy, who made it with just 1 second left, move 40. Jeez Louise. Now he's able to, so he provokes a5. He could have played b5 too, that was an option. Like this, right? Why not? But maybe this is not so easy. Maybe not so easy to win this, actually. So a5 played by Wesley. And now he's got this kind of blockading score, but still white has 94 ideas, bishop moves, and then b5 type stuff to break through. So for example, like this. Wait, but here black's king is... No, not in time. Not in time. Not in the square. So, looking very scary. Knight d4 coming, b5, takes, knight c7, a6, a7. It's like white is just pushing. So I feel like actually very decent chances for Wesley here. I'd be very scared here as black. Who is the favorite on the women's side? Great question. So today, a lot still depends on the results of today. But let's see, Carissa's been on fire lately. She started badly, but then she's bounced back. She's decided to just start winning all her games. I think Carissa's game today, probably a draw. So that means there's going to be a lot of players with 4 points. Alice winning. So Alice is going to be leading actually with 5. So Alice is going to be clear leader with 5 points. Anna Zatonsky second with 4.5. And then there's going to be a couple players with 4 points. So actually Alice Lee is looking to be in very good shape on the women's side. Alice Lee. Going to be clear leader. She's won American Cup twice. Never won U.S. championships, at least not yet. But this could be Alice's year. Every year it feels like it could be Alice's year. Problem is it just gets very competitive. And then Carissa decided that she wants to start playing a grandmaster level now. So Carissa, is going to have something to say as well the last couple rounds. So yeah, women's side also going to be very, very hotly contested. Anna Zatonsky doing great. She hasn't lost the game yet. She's the oldest player, but very experienced and very, very good. She won that Karen's Cup last year. Got that GM norm. So yeah, Anna Zatonsky also could be in huge contention. Yeah. Okay, guys, I should probably run here. Get going. It's been fun to follow the games. I'm going to say Wesley good chances he is able to convert this one. These are very, very hard to play, but Andy might hold it still. I would say 50-50, probably give the nod to Wesley. A couple other games still going on. But yeah, folks, thanks for watching. And I'll be back tomorrow probably with coverage round 8. So hopefully see you all then. Folks, new podcast out on YouTube. New hot take also on Instagram. Should handshakes be mandatory? Check out our new series. Please like and share to boost our numbers. Thank you so much. And yeah, let me find someone to raid. Check out the Discord. Check out the YouTube channel. Next week, guys, we're going to start a Classical Arenas on stream, starting on Saturday. So that should be pretty cool. Look forward to that. Okay, let's raid St. Louis Chess Club. You guys can catch some end games there. And I will catch you all next time. Houseline. We raided Houseline yesterday, but we'll get him next time. We just bounced back between St. Louis and Houseline. Alrighty, y'all. Take care.